And then she just came out with this phrase, "Would you like to try the maestro cello?" And I remember the second where I saw the case with the cello. She opened it, she gave me the cello. I took it out and immediately smelled the pipe of the maestro, because he used to smoke the pipe all the time, and I really smelled it from the cello. I'm the lucky cello, I like to call it a driver. I'm the current driver of a very prestigious car in the cello world. It's a Goffriller cello of Pablo Casals. And just to connect it to my childhood, when I started to play, my parents were from day one very supportive, even though they're not musicians. And they bought me a little tape cassette of cello music. They probably went to the store. This was the days of the boombox, the 80s. And they bought probably the most popular tape with cello music, and it was Pablo Casals playing short pieces. And I heard this tape every night. Every night I fell asleep with this tape in my bed, and fell in love. Instead of the girl, I fell in love with the cello and with the sound of cello through that recording and that cello. And if a satellite from space would come down and spotlight me and say, in 30 years, 25 years, you will actually play that cello that is on this tape cassette, I would probably faint right there. But that's what happened. It was arranged for me, let's say it like this, in Washington, where I reside, to play for Marta Casals Istomin, the widow of Pablo Casals, who is herself a legendary figure in the music world. She used to run the Kennedy Center for many years and the Manhattan School of Music for about 15 years. And she's just a great musician and a great person to know as a musician. And I prepared an audition for her with the notion that it would be an honor to know her. That's it. I never dreamed of even seeing that cello. I didn't even know where it is. And I came to her apartment, I played for her. The audition turned into a very productive lesson, and ended up with a glass of wine sitting on the couch together. And then she just came out with this phrase, "Would you like to try the maestro cello?" And my reply was yes, I would like to. And that's what happened. This was in May, and she said, "Amit, would you have time in July to come to New York and try the cello?" And I said, "I'm free in July, I'll be there." And that's what happened. I came to New York, and she opened the door, and I remember the second where I saw the case with the cello. She opened it, she gave me the cello, and instead of leaving me alone with it, so I can look at it and digest the situation, she sat right there in front of me, waiting for me to play and probably to produce the same sounds that she used to hear, and that didn't happen. The cello was for years in the case. I thought it's like an old man, just lying there, happy, peaceful. I took it out and immediately smelled the pipe of the maestro, because he used to smoke the pipe all the time, and I really smelled it from the cello. It still had the little end pin, the wooden end pin that he used. It's a portable end pin that you put in and out. They don't use them anymore. And it's so short, and I'm so tall, I couldn't even sit comfortably with the cello, but it didn't matter. The first thing I played was the second movement of Dvořák. I grew up on Casals' recording of this piece, and that's what came to mind. But after a phrase and a half, I had to stop, because my fingers I couldn't play out of excitement. And I said, "Oh, Mrs. Casals, I can't continue, I'm too excited." And she said, "Well, anyway, the maestro played it faster." That was it, and I thanked her, and I said it was a great honor, and I left. About 2 weeks after that, she wrote me an email, and she said that she decided to lend me the cello so I can play on it and I can share it. That was a word that she used. I can share the cello, and later on I understood not just the cello, but the legacy of Pablo Casals, the musician, and also, as much as I can, growing as a human being, share his legacy as a person. What he meant in the music world and just in the world. What he could do with music, which was really a powerful tool for him. That cello has taught me so much so far. It's amazing. I thought it would just be a joy to play it and to produce the sound that I adore, but there's so much more to it. Literally every place in the world that I've been with the cello in the past only 6 months, which includes Russia, Turkey, Israel, Germany, Italy, all over the US, England, every place there is a person that either heard Casals or was influenced by Casals, or knew somebody who knew Casals, or studied with Casals, or studied with a student of Casals, every place, and it always ends up with tears. For those people, the meaning of seeing this cello and hearing this voice, this human voice that comes out from that cello, has so much more than just music. So it's very emotional for me to be that ambassador that carries this cello. Of course, not many people know that it's not easy to play this instrument. And only when you get nice to it and close to it and comfortable with it, it lets you shine and bring out the special voice of it. I was fortunate. I'm not old enough to have known Casals or Piatigorsky, those great cellists, but I'm old enough to have studied with direct students of them. And for instance, Casals, as a child, played for Brahms, his Brahms sonata. Today I taught that sonata. Casals taught this sonata to Bernard Greenhouse, who was my teacher. So there's a direct line, and therefore there's sort of responsibility for my part. And I remember Greenhouse telling me, Amit, now it's your turn to pass on the tradition.